Sheboygan's moon was always brightest in October. No one ever questioned it. Not until that year. They say it began with a whisper, drifting through the autumn air like a breeze, so soft you could almost think it was your own thoughts. But it wasn't. The old-timers would tell you that it was the wind moving through the gravestones out by Evergreen Cemetery. The kids just shrugged it off, pulling their hoodies tighter as they dragged their feet down Michigan Avenue, feeling the eyes of the darkened windows following them. But this year, something was different. The moon, that full harvest moon, hung too low, too close, almost close enough to touch, some said, though none dared try. It lit up the rows of graves, casting long, crooked shadows, painting the jack-o'-lanterns that sat on doorsteps in a glow that seemed to dance on its own. People whispered in town, the kind of whispers that made the hair on the back of your neck stand up. They spoke of how the pumpkins carved themselves this year. Knives found next to them in the morning, the faces all grinning too wide, eyes hollow and dark. The wind started to carry more than whispers now. It carried laughter, not the kind you hear from kids at trick or treat, but low, guttural, like the sound of something long buried beneath the earth. It would start up as soon as the sun set, rolling off the lake in waves, bouncing off the old brick walls downtown. No one dared speak of it openly, but the word spread all the same. Don't be outside after dark. So they stayed inside, boarded up, lights off. But that didn't stop the moon. No, the moon seemed to grow bigger, filling the sky with a pale, sickly glow, as if Sheboygan itself was drowning in its light. And beneath it, the jack-o'-lanterns began to flicker, one by one, their flames casting twisted shapes on the cobbled streets. Then came the tapping. It was soft at first, like a branch brushing against the window. But soon it was louder, rhythmic. One tap, two taps, three. Always the same, no matter the house, no matter the street. When you looked outside, you'd swear you saw something move. Just a shadow, you'd think. Just the light playing tricks. But the tapping never stopped. Not until morning. And the pumpkins? Every night, they moved. You'd find them on the steps of houses that never had them. Their grins wider, their eyes darker, the air around them smelling faintly of decay. The laughter in the wind grew louder, bolder, as if the moon itself was feeding on it, growing hungrier with each passing night. Then came Halloween. That night, the moon was so close you could see every crater, every mark on its surface, like the face of something old and watching. The pumpkins lined the streets, their twisted grins all pointed toward the cemetery. No one dared to follow where their faces led. Not until the clock struck midnight. The laughter stopped, the tapping too. For a moment, all was still. And then, from the graveyard, a light, a dim, eerie glow. The pumpkins seemed to pulse with it, their flames dancing in rhythm to a beat only they could hear. One by one, the graves began to open, the earth shifting like it was breathing. First slowly, then faster. Hands, bony and dirt-covered, clawed their way up, pulling themselves from the ground. But it wasn't the dead rising. No, it was something older, something that had been waiting. They say if you go to Evergreen Cemetery now, you can still hear them digging, clawing, laughing. The pumpkins are still there, grinning, their eyes fixed on the moon that never left. And if you listen closely enough, You'll hear the winds carrying a voice that says, "It's only just begun."